Oh, great sound. Good evening, guys. It's Saturday, July 29th. My name is Dave Coker, and this is Talking About Finance, and this is awesome. It's another afternoon when I get to speak with the best people ever. Those who refuse to try to get rich quick. Those who refuse to try to swing trade. Those who refuse who try to day trade. Those who realize building wealth takes time. Those who realize patience in the markets is necessary, rather than that other crowd of get-rich-quick victims who only want to build wealth fast, but they pass their money to fraudsters, to charlatans, to fraudsters and criminals. And my favorite of this whole group are what we call the FINFLUENCERs. Oh my God, I have never heard anything quite like that before. And I've said it before. I don't care what system you bought. I don't care how much you paid for the system, or how good looking or how convincing your trading coach is. They're taking advantage of you. It simply will not generate wealth for you. Oh sure, a few good days here and there, but overall, you're going to lose money. And by overall, I mean the long term. I've been in the markets for over 30 years, guys. I make money all the time. I don't trade. I invest, as you guys know. The only way to build wealth is to buy dividend-paying stocks. And then you hold them forever. So let's change the topic. Let's talk about finance. The S&P 500 closed the week up about 1%. 5 sectors outperformed the S&P 500. Communication services, blistering. Materials, energy, cyclical, welcome change. Information technology and consumer discretionary all outperformed the S&P 500. And 6 sectors underperformed the S&P 500. Communication staples and industrials. And a further 4 sectors of the 6 booked losses, also underperformed. Financials, healthcare, real estate, and utilities. The market seems a little twitchy. So I think the autumn is going to be fun. And we know most crashes take place in September to October timeframe. So we'll have to watch this. The VIX traded down to 13.29. It opened the week at 13.34. The 10-year note closed the week at 3.96, down 0.1% or 10 basis points on the week. Also down 10 basis points year to date. Oil closed the week at 80.48. It's up about 4.4% on the week and down about 30 basis points year to date. Some of my buddies operating in the commodity sector, who are on the channel, by the way, they're seeing a breakout in oil over the next few weeks. They're talking about it will approach $100. Possible. I don't work in that sector. I really don't know too much about that sector, commodities in general, besides gold and silver. But let's see how it goes. And you guys gotta know by now what I did yesterday. It was Friday. So I bought myself some Bitcoin and I bought myself some Ripple. I mean, really? What else can I do at 0400 on a Friday morning? But now let's find out what me and my buddies, some 50 or so finance professionals from all around the planet talked about last week. And I need to properly introduce us. We are Global Wall Street. And between Telegram and our personal networks on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and other channels, we know everybody. We know people. We know absolutely everyone at different financial institutions. So almost anyone in finance is just typically 2 connections away. I'm very, very surprised sometimes. And this week, of course, we're reporting from the city of London. And you know we're also on Wall Street. We're in Beijing. We're in Frankfurt. We're in Amsterdam. We have people absolutely everywhere that matters. So let's go. 7 slides for 7 days. And you know something? You guys are the best crowd ever. So this is really fascinating because a lot of people are making a lot of noise that inflation is done. Well, guys, I got a long memory. And if you look on Google News, go to Google News, type Dave Coker. You can find some of the articles I've written based upon quantitative data. Inflation does not go straight down after it goes straight up. It's cyclical. And don't believe me, look back here in the 70s, the 1970s. We saw inflation move up, we saw inflation move down, we saw inflation move up, we saw inflation move down. And the You Are Here is attempting to point out how we're in the first wave of inflation. Something to consider? Oh yes, something to consider, because the Fed is resolute that they're not going to be cutting interest rates anytime soon, and they may have additional rate hikes, whereas the markets seem convinced the Fed's going to cut. And this is a really fascinating one, and these Finfluencers are very annoying. I just got to tell you that. They're totally unethical. And here this young lady, I think she's like 23, and I don't hold anyone's age against them, but she says, okay, you're going to make $7 million tax-free in 2023 trading stocks. $50,000 a month profitably and consistently. I don't know how that adds up to $7 million, but let's just go with her, right? She's going to raise $50 million in funds from investors and institutions and guarantee 60% annual performance. Well, no, it doesn't work that way, guys. She's not going to raise any money. She's got no track record. Go on TikTok, find her. She's nobody. A good-looking woman, promising lots of things in front of about $100,000 as we can figure, me and my friends on the channel, in front of $100,000 in cars, strategically parked at the sunset. No, she's a nobody. She's a loser. She's trying to get you to give her money. You go on her TikTok channel and she makes all these outrageous promises which don't even add up. Look at that, $50,000 a month profit, and that adds up to $7 million? I don't think so. I got all 12 fingers and toes that the good Lord gave me. You do have 12 fingers and toes, don't you? I hope, yeah? But here's the point. The $50,000 a month net profit doesn't come up to $7 million tax-free. It doesn't work. She's throwing just words out there. She's showing a lot of cleavage. She's trying to convince you to give her your money. These Finfluencers are really disgusting on many, many levels. And I just got done reading The Crypto Queen, The Search for the Crypto Queen. Fascinating book, another Finfluencer from 2014, 2015, up to about 2017. They didn't call them Finfluencers back then. Of course, we call them back then, like we call people like her, scammers, fraudsters, lowlifes. Incredibly low-life behavior. Amazing people do that. It really, really is. Oh, and this is a really good one. Now, please go on Google News and look up my article about Barbie. It's called Barbenheimer. And really, this is such a good one. Look at the contrast between marketing and sales, between the promise on the left and the reality on the right. It's just the funniest thing, right? This is marketing, this is sales, and let's dance. And, I've talked about charting before. And yeah, I do a little bit of charting. I got about half a dozen signals I trust. 3 I really rely upon. The other 3 I look at and sort of say, no, these people are really out of control. These people are complete idiots. Again, I'm not going to say who this is. It's off another Finfluencer who will sell you his course, and you can learn to be a charting master like me and make all this money, because I never lose money in the markets because I look at these charts. Guy's full of garbage. Doesn't even use his real name. You know what I do? I got a bad habit. I tend to research people a great deal on the internet. And I do have access to paid databases. We won't talk so much about that. But when I see somebody who calls him Chartmaster, I don't even have to look too much to know the guy's a fraud. You can look up my writing on the internet, on Google News. My name's Dave Coker. My name's in all my articles. Look at me on LinkedIn. It's Dave Coker. Verify my background. World-class institutions. Deutsche Bank, ABN AMRO's, Moody's, Dow Jones. These people, they're just fraudsters. So be very careful. And this is, my God, who can keep track of all this garbage? This is just ridiculous. It's really, really over the top. And yeah, it doesn't work. I guarantee it does not work. And here's a reasonable question, guys, about our currency. Whatever happened to it? Once upon a time, a man could go to work, earn a paycheck, the woman could stay home and take care of the kids and the house. Yeah, the family could own a car, a home. They could send the kids to college, and they could do it all on one income. What happened, guys? I know what happened. Think about what happened in 1971. In 1971, President Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard. That means the dollar was no longer backed by gold, it was backed by promises. And some interesting things happened. We started to see the cost of living in America rise because other currencies were benchmarked to the dollar. Other currencies were convertible to the dollar. Other currencies agreed to use the dollar as an exchange currency. And something really odd happened. Just go back and look at the US dollar since 1971. It got weaker and weaker and weaker. And now, God bless them back in the States, now, how many people can afford to live on two incomes? How many people need 2.5 or even 3? Each partner to the family working maybe one side hustle, one part-time job in addition to a full-time job, or maybe both of them working a full-time job and a part-time job. Our politicians in the United States have ruined the greatest thing that was ever made, the ability for people to live a life and not have to crunch, hustle, hustle. It's really amazing what they did. It's absolutely incredible that they got away with it. It's the most amazing thing ever. And we're still paying the price. And think about the inflation that we're going through now. Where did that come from? The politicians are duplicitous. They call it Putin's inflation. It's not Putin. I don't like Putin. I'm no fan of Putin. But when you print $6 trillion in the U.S. alone and you send it out to everyone, what a surprise. Inflation follows. Guys, I got money from the bailouts, from the stimulus. I didn't want it. I didn't need it. I wasn't asked. It just showed up in my bank account. Of course, I'm one of the smarter ones. I invested it. A lot of people saved it, and now they're spending it. And that's why we have inflation right now. Oh, and this is a wonderful one. This is, if you don't know the gentleman, Peter Schiff. Now, if you go on social media and follow him, I don't quite understand what his deal is. I've always followed him for many decades. I followed him because he's into gold like I am. And, you know, people, it's just too easy when you come out so negatively about Bitcoin and talk such evil, tell such lies about Bitcoin. It's easy for people to make fun of you. Back in 2011, Bitcoin was worth roughly $1. Gold was worth $1,900. In 2023, Bitcoin's worth $30,000 and gold is worth $1,900. Do you see the problem? And if you follow him on Twitter, which I do, he never gives it up. I don't quite understand what's going on with the gentleman, but, you know, who am I to judge? I don't judge. I just think, my God, do you really own Bitcoin? That's the only thing I can think of. I think he's a secret Bitcoin holder. And this is really fascinating. This comes from Plan B, and we've talked about him before. That Dutch guy, go look him up on Twitter, Plan B. You'll find him. And he did this stock to flow model where he looks at the amount of available inventory, to use another phrase, for want of a better phrase, and he looks at how quickly the inventory is depleted. Now, what this tells you is it gives you an idea about where the price should be. The longer it takes to replace the asset, the higher the price should be, yeah? It just works that way. Now, since 2019, Bitcoin has had a higher stock-to-flow ratio than silver, palladium, and platinum. It's lagged gold, but something magical, according to his calculations, is going to take place in 2025. In 2025, after the halving, in 2025, Bitcoin will have a higher stock-to-flow ratio than gold. And we do know that the price of Bitcoin is forecast to be much higher in 2025, if for no other reason than the rate of resupply will drop by 50%, and if demand remains constant, the price has to go up. If demand increases, the price must go up. And we have every reason to believe that the demand for Bitcoin will increase over the horizon. Okay, guys, that's it for me this evening. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, wonderful Saturday. We've been to the pub. We had some dinner. We had some drinks. God, it was really hopping at the pub. Oh, my Lord. And we're going to head out again. You take care, guys. It's going to be a wonderfully profitable week. I feel it. Don't be afraid to deploy capital. Do not fall into that trap about not buying because you think it might fall. Buy. Buy stocks, buy bonds, buy Bitcoin, buy some gold, buy some silver, buy everything you can get your hands on. Inflation is not going away. Whatever you buy today will be priced higher in the future. And if you don't believe me, look past over the past 5 years. Look back over the past 10 years. There's no denying it. Bye. Take care, guys.